The name Yola is not to be confused with YOLO, but if her moniker were to be an acronym, it might stand for You Only Live Awe-Inspiringly. The British-born singer has been expanding her horizons rather widely since being nominated for Best New Artist at the 2020 Grammys, particularly in the acting realm, starting with a small role in Baz Luhrmann's Elvis movie and now moving up to a lead part on Broadway as Persephone in the long-running, Tony-winning smash Hadestown. Her presence in musical theater is introducing a different audience to a singer who has gained a reputation in a few short years of fame as one of the greatest and most magnetic singers working today. She and the Broadway stage have turned out to be a match made in Hades, or heaven, take your pick. Catch Yola in the production before she takes her final bow October 20th. Meanwhile, her career as a recording artist has not been put on hold for long by this detour. This past spring, she did delay the release of a new EP and a tour promoting it, upon being offered the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to take a top role in a Broadway hit without having ever acted on the stage before. But the EP, My Way, finally has a firm release date, on November 15th, and has been preceded by a single, Future Enemies, that presages new directions Yola is taking now that she says she is assuming greater control of her musical destiny. Recording now for S-Curve after an initial solo stint with Dan Auerbach's Easy Eye, Yola is picking a lane that is less Americana and more soul, specifically, a hybrid of the genres she came up being a part of in her early career in Britain, although fans she's already turned into lifetime converts won't likely be daunted by any gear-shifting .in Variety's Q&A with Yola about the Broadway role and new music. Her sharp intellectualism came into play in talking about strong black women. Stereotypes, how the dilemmas Persephone faces in the underworld mirror those faced by many powerful women up above, and how the new song, Future Enemies, offers a blueprint for ghosting suitors or acquaintances that come bearing glaring red flags. The following interview has been edited for space and clarity. How have you settled into your stage debut, getting your feet wet in such a high-profile role? Well, the thing that really no one ever tells you is that when you debut on Broadway, you drop a dress size and your muscles will forever ache, because you're just doing so much physically, so it's kind of like boot camp. Having to dance for 2.5 hours to 5 hours a night, on days with 2 shows, is a very different life physically for me. The way that you are timing your breath isn't just for a full lung for the length of the phrase, it's for a full lung for the cardio you've got to do as well as the phrase you've got to say. And so these are things that you don't necessarily think of when you start Broadway. But my dear friend Celise, who has a background in Broadway, was giving me the lowdown a little bit, so I was training in the gym for a month before the month of rehearsal started, to make sure that I could hit it. It's hardcore. It's really endlessly entertaining, though. It reminds me of touring in a way, because every show that you do on tour, you are finding your interpretation that night. And you know me, when I'm on tour and I've got new music, I'm gonna tell you the story behind the song. So my storytelling arc didn't feel like as much of a departure. Physically, for the first month, I couldn't really walk outside of the show. The first month, I had to get a car everywhere. Because the only energy I had left in my legs was needed to be expended on stage, or going up and down from my dressing room, which was on the top floor of a 4-story building with a basement, so 5 stories, and it's a walk-up, not an elevator situation. You're doing 10 flights multiple times a day, up and down, and you just have to be used to that, along with the way that the stage moves. We have a rotating stage, with turntables, and it goes up and down into the basement. So there's a lot of choreography that you have to do on a moving floor. I managed to not faceplant the first time I did it, and so I was proud of myself. But the thing that really just ties it all together and makes you commit every day to punish and deliver and go further than you ever thought you could is how beautifully it's written by Anais Mitchell. And you are in good company. The cast are insane. I never thought I was gonna be in a cast with Stephanie Mills, as Hermes, who was just such a hero. I love her kind of re-groove music from back in the day, the 70s and then 80s, and obviously she was in The Wiz, in its iconic debut era. We've got people from music backgrounds like me and Stephanie, who also has a theater background, she's definitely a hybrid, and then acting backgrounds in Maya Rafiko, as Eurydice, and Jordan Fisher, as Orpheus. So there's a lot of people that come in from both sides for this very music-forward show. The band's on stage, so when you are doing your numbers, it really has gig energy.